Tell me about your conversations with Sweet Tea before this season. You were encouraging her to be part of the show, right?
Absolutely. She's a great gal. You know, she's a lot of fun and funny. Now, naive and younger than we are. Absolutely. But it was the
Let's
first...
explain a little bit who Sweet Tea is for maybe anyone who doesn't know who she is and who she's married to. I was
just going to say, she is Quad's ex-husband's fiance, now wife.
Right.
Yeah.
She's a lot younger than we are. She's 32, I'm 52. So she has a lot to learn. And I don't know why those young girls don't listen. We've done it. So, you know, I gave her a lot of advice, marital advice, financial advice, and she took it. But at the end, I think she looked at Twitter and all that and then got upset.
Yeah, so she's gotten into the show, right?
Yeah.
And it's for a new person on the show, and she's marrying a husband of someone who's been on the show in the past.
And it's hard to be a part of a group of formidable women, like you were saying, more experience. And you guys are tough.
I
you guys
agree,
are strong.
we're tough, so you need to listen. When I tell you this is something, you need to listen. I'm telling you, you know, be yourself, just do. But I guess, you know, with age or something, I don't know. I've never been sensitive, you know, and I think that some people are just sensitive about certain things. So understandably, I think she's a great addition. I think she's been fun. I think she's been funny. I think she's been truthful. That's what makes a great reality TV star.
Yeah.
Now, you said to Andy that when you were on Watch What Happens Live, the reason why you were talking to her and you wanted her to come on the show was so that it would look like Quad was winning.
Quad is winning.
But then you kind of laughed about it. So I just wanted to get to the bottom of what you meant by that. And
Yeah. You know, Quad went through and every relationship is different, you know, but I just think that a lot of times when you're young, you're naive, and a lot of things are said. Like, she'll say something like, my husband tells me everything. Come on, little girl. Don't nobody tell anyone. No one tells anyone everything. So I was just giving her marital advice, financial advice. Get some good life insurance. The man 23 years older, you know, and I don't think that's offensive, right? That's just real good, you know, Dr. Heavenly University
practical,
stuff.
yeah.
And she was taking it, receiving it. I think her issue was when we met up one-to-one, she said a lot of things that maybe she didn't feel comfortable saying. But then she backed it up in the green screen saying, I'm not his child. So I didn't understand why she was mad at me for the stuff she said.
Well, she's new to doing reality. She's very young. And, you know, what I loved about her is she wasn't like sort of a ready-made reality TV character. There was something very raw about her that I thought would be a good addition to a show that's been around for 10 seasons. It's like you need a fresh voice. And I like that she's younger because she comes from that millennial
that area that cannot take a whole lot. They crying for nothing, you know what I'm saying? A marriage and somebody else is paying for it, but you stressed. I don't understand it. I think me and Dr. Jackie and Simone would agree that we have a lot more going on and we can handle it. But the younger generation is just not built like we are. Is that wrong to say?
No, that's not.
It's the truth.
Let's talk about the bachelorette party.
Okay.
So that was wild. They were having the bachelorette party, and Sweet Tea gets a call from her wedding planner, this guy, Johnny, who Housewives fans will remember from Candy's wedding, right? Yeah, because he produced, and there were some issues with that. And so
did Phaedra Parks find him for them? Because she knows
I
them.
think there was some connection between Johnny and Dr. Greg.
I think there was some shady shit in there too. I don't know.
So during the bachelorette party, she gets a call from the wedding planner being like, well, we need $14,000 more to get this wedding to where it needs to be.
She flipped out. She tried to fight her sister. Y'all saw it, fight her sister. And then when she came back out, which I thought was so too much, then Quad comes out. I was like, oh my God, this girl just already, flipped out. And now here's Quad. But she didn't have the reaction we thought she was going to have when she saw Quad.
What did you think she was going to do?
I thought she was going to flip out, get the hell out of my bachelorette party or whatever. In my opinion, she fanned out. She must have been watching the show because she was like, hey, Quad, how will you come sit by me, Quad? I was like, what?
Oh, my God.
That'd been my bachelorette party.
I love being surprised when I'm producing something because I wouldn't have thought that would happen. And, I'm sitting at the monitor. I'm like, okay, I did not see this.
Were you nervous when you're producing that? Were you thinking she's going to see her and
because everything had happened just prior to that with the wedding planner calling her out of the blue and then her thinking that we were going to pay for the rest of the overage for the wedding and then having to come out and be like, that's not us. This is actually how this works. And then I'm like, oh gosh. And then I get a walkie that Quad's outside the door. I'm like, what is going to happen?
Can we say that Dr. G came and when he heard Quad's voice?
Okay, so this is something no one knows. So he was on his bachelor party at the same time the bachelorette party was happening, but that had wrapped up. And so he had also gotten a similar text from Johnny about the wedding. And so he thought, oh, I'll come over to the hotel after, straighten things out, which is like a bad time to do it. He's just been at a bachelor party. And he wanted to come into the bachelorette party, and the producer downstairs was like, I don't know, he's here. I'm like, well, just put a mic on him, have him come on up.
Come on up.
You know, like we just follow what's real. And he was moving out a clip, wanting to come in, but he didn't know that Quad was sitting in the room, and heard the voice, turned around, took the mic off, and left. Never made it on camera, which, you know, I respect that. I
understand that.
I understand that too. So.
I'm trying to think, have they been in the same room together? Other than the Met Gala, have Quad and Dr. G been in the same room? The Met Gala was different because it was like this big thing.
The Met Gala is our season finale of the show, where they throw together, like the medical community gets together. And Quad and Dr. Greg, it was the first time they were in the room together, but it was a big kind of event and, you know, I think intense.
But is there any other show where you bring the ex and then his new wife?
I think this is the only one on Bravo. I mean, there's been a little bit with Slade and a little bit with that, but like not someone marrying the husband of someone else.
Not to this extent.
And the whole wedding.
Yeah. I mean, we've talked about that because there's just, I don't know, like groups of people tend to congregate with each other and marry each other. There's a lot of that. So
we don't do that.
But I can't think of another situation like this.
Yeah. Well, listen, we love Quad. She's hilarious. She's funny. They broke the mold when she was made as a human being. And when I had gotten the casting tape for Quad, I was like, oh my God, this woman needs to be on the show. But you know, you get a casting tape, Alex, and someone may be hyped up, and then you open the door and you're like, oh, this is a totally different situation. And I always say, Quad answered the door like the person I saw on the casting tape. I'm like, oh, this is how you live your life. You're quick, you're funny. And the thought is always they have to be in the medical community and they have to know the cast. Well, everyone had stayed in touch with Dr. G. And so it made sense to find out what was new in his life. He was getting married. So Sweet Tea was always going to be on the show regardless, because she was an interesting character. Dr. G was still in the group, and we weren't sure if Quad was going to come back. And then Quad was like, I don't know if I want to come back, because obviously this woman is going to come in. And
had she called you about that in the first place? Had she let you know? Had she asked you whether Sweet Tea was going to be on
we'd
the show?
had some conversations, but there was a larger conversation of whether she even wanted to do the show anyway, regardless. And so we had to kind of keep the wheels moving, and we thought she was a dynamic character. And then it was sort of like the cart was before the horse, because once she came to the table to be like, I think maybe I do want to do the show, but now how am I going to do it? Because my ex-husband is going to be on the show.
Right.
And I'm mad at my friend group because they seem to be taking
they're letting her in.
This new person.
Well, for me, Damon is interventional pain, meaning he does personal injury. Dr. G is a psychiatrist. Anybody that knows that you have chronic pain, you need a psychiatrist. So Damon was referring his patients to Greg the whole time. So we've been going out to dinner, that kind of stuff. He would show up to Jackie's.
Greg is your patient, right?
Absolutely. He comes to me and Sweet Tea. But it was just one of those things. Like, yes, Quad is my friend, but Greg is Damon's friend. So how can I maneuver through that? So, you know, I understand where she was coming from, but, you know, what would we do? Greg was still in the group.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I understand it too, and it was unique. And I think she handled it as well as she could. Like, it was an awkward situation.
Yes.
It was an awkward situation, which made for interesting TV, because I don't know if I've ever seen an ex-wife show up at a new wife's bachelorette party. So that was interesting.
Not that specifically, that's for sure. Yeah. So
thank you, Phaedra.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's great.
She coordinated that. So that whole night was wild for sure. And then the wedding was wild too, because Heavenly got to the wedding finally, and Sweet Tea
took my name off the list.
Took her name off the list.
Who'd have thought that? You know what I mean? I really didn't do anything. In fact, I was thinking like, Phaedra's in here, and I'm not. I didn't bring the ex-wife to the bachelorette party. What did I do?
And no one takes your name off the list.
Right. I've never had that done before. You know, I was like, listen.
And as a producer, that's kind of a painful thing to know, because once you know what's happening and you're shooting it, it's like, well, it's happening. And it was the prom for their daughter, senior prom. They left that early to come to the wedding. And it's like, oh, this is going to be rough, man.
I am not getting in. But some kind of way I got in.
But then she got in.
I know.
And that was so awesome.
Yeah, I love that. You're not to be denied.
I came in anyway.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what happened. I don't know shit. I came in anyway. So, but I got there after the part where you could have said, if anybody has a problem with this marriage, speak now, because I might have stood up.
I was going to ask you, yeah. Let your feelings known? Yeah. You said the most difficult thing for you to film on the show was head over to bravotv.com/podcast to catch us clearing up some of the biggest reality TV production rumors and having a little fun along the way.